blessings, all my 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 blessings.
I need my blessings every penny. Daily counting every single one, I'm seeing plenty. Level up and watch that beater turn into a Bentley. See I'm stunting something, all I'm thinking, please don't tell me. Oh boy, she was seeing you until she met me. The game's heavy, shit's messy and nobody let me. Book a flight overnight and told her bring a bestie. Live that life off the hype, I could pipe the next freak. Getting paid every day and it's the same the next week. Adding weight to the bench, but I'm not flexing. Taking notes mentally, every dollar stretching. Stand on my own too, king, how could you check me? Check please, we cashing out and she undressing. Every tribulation that we face feels like it's tested. Always on the go, I never fold, no time for resting. Wake up, give my praise face and Nathan count my blessings. Do you get the message?
All my blessings, 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 all my blessings.
I need my blessings every penny. Every single one.
Hello, I'm Michal Welch of NoPulp.com and co-host of the Polymuse podcast with a very special guest and friend today. I have a man that continues to put his nose, fingers, and vocals to the grindstone, writing, rapping, mixing, DJing, and tinkering with music for over 20 years and releasing multiple projects since 2012, often recording, engineering, and mastering by himself. He found inspiration from early legendary hip-hop pillars while falling in love with the chopped and screwed Texas sound, but continuously shifts to incorporate new elements into his music. He's performed his independent tracks, collaborations with collective Dope Forever, and DJ sets that first got his creative juices flowing on livestream and across the state of Michigan. With his most recent full-length 19-track album, Return of the King, streaming everywhere, and follow-up EPs and singles already dropping, the track you just heard is never the newest, because he lives in the studio. Big Sherm, my guy, how are you?
Great. Happy to be here. How are you?
I'm good, man. How are you doing?
How
are you doing?
Fantastic.
I'm so glad to have you here.
This is cozy. This is nice. I like the setup.
So you live here in mid-Michigan, and you've been putting projects out since high school, is that right?
I think maybe since middle school.
Oh my goodness. And today, we are very fortunate to have you on your 30th birthday.
Wow.
Happy birthday to you.
I made it.
So, was music always a part of your life?
I did always love music. I would listen to it all the time. I've got an older brother. He was into breakdancing and the hip-hop scene. And so I always was around that when cool electronic music was coming out on the radio and was getting bigger. You know, I was a kid loving that shit. Since then, I was, blending songs together. I was able to go online and, find random sounds and just mix them together. And yeah, always loved to tinker with it. I had Mario Paint on the Super Nintendo,
Yeah.
and you could make music on that, I actually have
Paint.
those sounds in my Ableton. For a long time I wasn't I'm gonna make music or anything, but I would love blending stuff together. I had Audacity. I was always messing with the computer, and a lot of the early music stuff was based on that. So I had virtual DJ trial program, when I was younger.
Right. Yep.
I always thought all that stuff was so cool,
Well, I certainly remember I had early Fruity Loops.
Yes.
And I'm like,
Acid.
Yeah.
Acid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those early programs. I'm like, man, this is certainly complex. I certainly didn't stick with it.
There was a program called MTV Music Generator 2 or whatever, and it
Yeah.
was it tracked layouts, and this was late 90s, early 2000s or whatever, and there was different loops, or it was kind of like an Audacity layout where you could just drag stuff in. And I remember I had a CD called Sir Juan, WON for whatever reason, and it was just all these weird blends of ambient shit just layered together. There's a couple of them out there to my friends when I was a child, but
Yeah.
those were the earliest things I can actually remember making, though.
Being able to create your own. Did that start that early on?
Yeah, I was definitely making music eventually, probably 12-ish. I was deep in learning computer stuff. It was around that time that I had a cheap microphone. It was maybe like a headset, and I started laying vocals on beats. It was probably 2004 to 2006 ish when I was like, oh, I could spit on some beats, because there was a community of a bunch of nerds, and we were all just rapping about the stuff we were doing. And there people were like computer hacking raps, video games. And so I was like, oh, this is cool. And at that certain times I was into hip hop, certain times I wasn't. And at that point I was just like deep into the beats and rhymes, where it got to be like, fuck it, I can make this for myself. It was just to get stuff off my chest a lot of times too.
Yeah, that's certainly a healthy way to do it.
Yeah.
So your early influences, I guess, who were you modeling after? Who were you really listening to at the time? Was it, necessarily hip hop? Were there other influences, non-hip hop related?
MTV was always going on in the morning at my house. So I would see all that stuff, when it was, actually like TRL and all that shit. I went against hip hop for a while when I was younger, and just started going more into metal. I always liked electronic music and DJ, so that stuff was always there. But I just was like, I always like, some rock and all that. So I went just like super into death metal. Was like not listening to much hip hop. But then I opened it back up. A lot of underground, like when I really started thinking about raps and actually making beats and like making stuff like that, it was a lot of underground guys. Like I was listening to like Army of the Pharaohs and Jedi Mind Tricks, like really deep, like a lot of philosophical stuff. Like there was like nonfiction, and I was just trying to learn who everyone was. At some point you're just like, I got hooked with hacker raps, and then from there I was like, oh, finding all these other artists and just tons of underground stuff. I mean, Apathy was an early influence in seeing things that I could do.
Yeah, well, that certainly shows in what you write now, in being very philosophical and very technical with your lyrics.
Absolutely.
When did hip hop come back in? Was that just kind of over time, watching MTV? Was that a group that you were listening to? Was there
By the time I was like really deep into it, I mean, there was probably like 7th grade, whatever that makes me, I don't know, 12.
Yeah.
Somewhere around then, I was super into computers and just like listening and learning shit and just, figuring out more stuff. So it was definitely around that time that I started going deeper. I mean, shouts out as STC is the greatest. Spam Tech got me really into rap, where I was like, this is something I can, relate to again, because there was times where, I didn't understand it, or the radio wasn't where I was getting shit, and I was just listening to like Daft Punk and whatever electronic stuff I could find,
Right.
Once I really became more confident in just being who I was, I started really listening to it more and starting to write stuff. I mean, as early as 12, 14, I got a song, Galaga, on this Nerd Rhyme Torrents mixtape when I was like 14 or something. It was really like the first song that I made. Shouts out to Audio Blender. Dr. Tentacles is his name now. That was the first one, and by the time I was like 17, I went to this show and met these guys that knew all of those lyrics from that song that I made when I was 14.
Wow.
They started spit. They're like, "Oh, this is you," and they both just started spitting. Shouts out to Roast. I was just recording stuff at home, stealing beats from all the 90s producers, just writing stuff. I would just be at home, or like anytime my mom was gone, I would be trying to record stuff. Like I'd have to record when she's not. She would walk in, and I'd be like, fuck, I gotta stop now.
Were you writing then, or freestyling?
I started freestyling pretty early, but I was definitely always writing. I would start writing on the computer, and I would write about computer stuff and computer crime and spamming and all that stuff. I was like hardcore shit. I was kind of basically a little kid. It's weird to think about it, because I thought I knew so much, at the time. But
Y2K was around 2000s. That wasn't too far off. You started putting stuff together not too many years after that, and everyone was getting a computer in their home, and so that was very much a product of its time.
I remember YouTube coming out, or when YouTube came out, 2005, 2006, I was essentially a bootlegger. I was putting people's hitting brand new hip hop. There was websites like underground hip hop
Right.
coming out this week. I would download them and turn them all into YouTube videos and upload them to YouTube. And at the time, YouTube was whack because there was no way for them to get paid from that. There was no content identification.
Yeah.
There was like, oh, you just put our whole, I would download their mixtape off a zip file that's in stores somewhere. I would download it
Yeah.
and I would up, and it wasn't, out of any, it was like I was just sharing music, and that's what YouTube was at the time. Like I've uploaded like, Pack the Pipe by the Far Side. Like I was the first person to upload that, now, I mean, I've got millions of hits on random YouTube channels I made at the time. Like in the first 2 years, millions of hits of just, I had uploaded dope ass hip hop songs. Like it was really about the culture. Like when b-boying was a thing, I was watching my brother. I would go to events. I would see people do open mics. Like Code of the Cuts used to be a place around here, and I caught just the tail end of it. They had Freestyle Fridays. There was breakdancing outside the campus, like on the strip, every week. I was always on the tail end of all of it, and I was too young, really. When my brother's 18, I was 10. I mean, all that stuff was early influence. By the time I was in high school, we did the song by Benefit, I'm Sick. Me and my two homies, Jonesy and Logan, practiced the whole verse, and we split his verse up into like 4-bar sections, and we rotated the whole song, this whole like sick ass hip hop song. We were just doing stuff for the culture at that point, but we would be in basements of places like practicing the lyrics. Like we were on some shit, smoking Black and Milds, and so we did that there were 700 people it was the talent show at school, but there was 700 people there, and then other talent shows I ended up performing my own stuff. I was loose, to say the least, back then, as far as like I would just do whatever I felt like. I was like, I don't give a fuck what people think about me, so I would just do the wildest shit. Like, you know what I'm saying? I mean, those were all early before I really started solo, but we would perform other people's stuff. There was a lot of culture we just loved listening to, and there was a couple people that could relate, that could listen to the hardcore old school underground shit or whatever, and it wasn't like everyone else was listening to Lil Wayne and Soulja Boy at the time, which hey, I love love them both now for sure, but
Right.
It's not where my head was at at the time.
Chopped and Screwed and DJ Screw, which you certainly are a big fan of. Of course, the late Screw died before his 30th birthday, right around the year 2000, I believe, credited for bringing the Chopped and Screwed style down in Houston, Texas. And there's lots of information and biopics and stuff about his life now. But you credit a lot of him to your style and being an influence?
Yeah, absolutely. I've got so many influences, but definitely early on, I was banging Screw all the time. It'd be rainy days. I'd be driving around by myself as a kid and finding places to smoke and just listening to DJ Screw. I got turned on to Southern music, which was kind of different from like the super lyrical hip hop I was listening to. But at some point I got like a mad love for the Southern, stuff too.
Yeah.
Of course. I mean, it deserves it. And I was always listening to DJ Screw at the time. Probably, it was a few years after he was gone that like I got to that point where I was listening to it all that. I always dug that, what I could listen to. And then since then, there's always people who got a lot of Screw stuff. But for me, I have, I have more than anyone else I know. But I've got one of the USBs I bought from them, which had like 200 of his tapes. I've had that on for, a long time, shuffling. And, I love the sound as a DJ. I would chop and screw stuff early on, like before I had any like official stuff. Like I would try to figure out how to do that on the computer and stuff before I had turntables. But yeah, huge influence there. The whole SUC clique, the Screwed Up clique has definitely been a major influence. I love not just the slow, but the vibes, kind of the things they're saying. It's like lyrical, but about, I don't want to say flashier shit, but
Yeah.
but there's a lot of real stuff too, of course. The freestyling, like all that's played a huge, like we used to have ciphers at my house in the kitchen. I would set up microphones and we'd throw beats on, and we would do ciphers. There was times where I would be freestyling for an hour every night once I got off of work, just straight, and I would put all that shit out at some point. I pulled it back and took it because there was some crazy stuff in there. I just said stuff, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but there was some good stuff in there though too. But freestyling and all that was a big part from the Screwed Up Click. You know, I just love the approach, and you know, the more I learned, the more I tried to get into his head. I learned about the approach, and there was just more and more stuff to Boom. I mean, it's such a big discography that you know, you can just get. I haven't heard everything yet, and I've been listening, you know, for at least 10 years, you know, more than 10 years, you know. So
Right.
my new record, All My Blessings, actually got coverage on this blog where he said Big Sherm channels 2000s H-Town rap and Ganesha, and he compared me to Big Crit and UGK and stuff as far as like how it sounded, you know. That was huge to me. That was a mad compliment, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
that was great.
Absolutely the vibe that I got from that track as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, I certainly remember the first time that, I don't want to necessarily say Chopped and Screwed went mainstream, but you know, certainly post DJ Screw's death in 2000, Mike Jones and Paul Wall and Slim Thug in the mid 2000s kind of blew up there.
Yeah.
And I believe each of their albums was re-released as a Chopped and Screwed version that actually made it to like Best Buys and stuff like that. I believe it made, you know, national sales. Then I don't know that any other album necessarily did those kind of sales and those kind of releases before. That was my first taste really of full Chopped and Screwed
Grills
record.
coming out, you know, those are huge records. I mean, when that shit was on the radio, I didn't like all the mainstream stuff, but like those songs, like I was like, yes, let's go. Like,
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah. I gotta get it. Decoding the mysterious, I paint the image. You can do it how you want to, cause that's your decision. But I'ma keep on riding till I die. I'm on a mission.
Off the charts, my mental spark, imploded stars. Smoke cigars and fancy clothes, still pitching bars. Don't miss a mark, encrypted arts. My cuts will scar, rip you apart, and spin your corks, then lift your heart. Brain enlarged, good place to start. I'm taking charge. It's way too smart. The Tony Stark, my clique is sharks. The teeth is sharp. We hold the cards, control the parts. The flow of Mars, let's go absorb. I know it's hard. I know it's ours. I've seen the visions, believed in systems. The secret's finished. We need a schism. Disease insistent. Sees assistance. Disease is risen. Disease is drifting. Seek the wisdoms of keeping different. We keep it pimping. So fuck the world and get my riches. This how I'm living. Power's given and power shifted. Complete existence. Compete resistance and be consistent and keep your distance. It seems so vicious, but leave you bitches. You'll pique my interest.
Yeah. I gotta get it. Decoding the mysterious, I paint the image. You can do it how you want to, cause that's your decision. But I'ma keep on riding till I die. I'm on a mission. Yeah. I gotta get it. Decoding the mysterious, I paint the image. You can do it how you want to, cause that's your decision. But I'ma keep
So your
on
Dope
riding
Forever
till I die.
group, how did you meet the Dope Forever group?
I always consider it like a loose collective because I feel like it's like always like morphing, and you know, I think it includes producers and, you know, instrumentalists, and you know, I feel like it includes a lot of people. And it's like a big collective. We got King Hyphy, Izzy, Rocket, Plaga, all of them are, you know, super tight, my homies. We had a recording studio towards the end of high school. This guy I knew, his dad did music. We tried to start a business recording people. So I made a MySpace, and you know, this was MySpace was here bigger than Facebook still. Like that was, you know, I had came out and we made a page for the studio, and we contacted every Lansing hip hop artist we could find. Basically, you know, we're given an hour of studio time for free. And I met a bunch of people, but King Hyphy was one of the only people who stuck with us he recorded 3 albums with us at the time when we were 18. We've always been tight since then. They had a crew, and I was just rapping, and I had a little crew. Then eventually, when I got studio equipment later on, I would have people over freestyling. Actually, there's a couple of people that haven't been around as much, but I do know a lot of people from that, and a lot of those guys like Plaga had done tons of freestyles with me, whether we just threw on a beat or I would throw on beats of vinyl and have it all running through this gear. It definitely set the tone. And then eventually that was Open Mind Initiative is what it was at the time. You know, there was that. And then Dope Forever is kind of bringing all these ideas together.
So is its
Keeps
heart
going.
so is its heart still in Michigan, or has it expanded outside of the state at all?
I consider a lot of the producers that I work with as Dope Forever, or, you know, Dope Forever associates, or, you know, they can claim us if they want, you know, it's up to them. But,
Yeah.
you know, I work with producers. I have a new producer who's in France. That's Supersonic. Wild Use is a group in Nigeria that held us down for Decessions 12. They did like a ton of the production on that. And, you know, I worked with them for a while, and they're dope guys. My brother lives in Japan, so I put CDs out there, you know, so there's, but I don't, you know, I actually don't work with anyone out there, but I should. But I consider it, you know, it's a worldwide thing.
Well, digging into your discography here and the Decessions, so you've released a number of your own projects, you've got collaborations, you've got instrumental releases. I guess starting at the beginning, your first release was in 2012, is that right?
2011, 2012 was the first release as Big Sherm. I had a mixtape called The Avenue that was very limited. I recorded all vinyl, live takes. I had beats and I had the microphone. I would press play and record the shit and like chop in like a comedy skit. That was but that was the first Big Sherm, but no one's gonna hear that anytime soon. It was good though. It was good. I was spitting. I'm sure I've got a copy. But then 2012, Big Sherm, No Future, first independent. But you know, I had an album called Lamb Party in 2005 or 2006. I had a thing called the Homegrown Mixtape, which is like 18 tracks. But those were the earliest where I was just dropping little mixtapes and projects for a very limited amount of people. But 2012, Big Sherm was official. And, you know, at that point, I already knew I'd performed a bunch. You know, I already knew that this is something I wanted to do.
Well, it's nonstop. Every time I talk to you, it's, I'm DJing, I'm mixing, I'm recording, I'm working with this guy. It's nonstop.
I can't stop. I've tried. I really have tried. I just have to do this. You know, Hyphy said one time, he's like, "You think I'll do this because I want to? It's because I have to." And it doesn't feel like that all the time, but like, you know, it feels, you know, it's fun because it's fun. You know, I've always enjoyed it.
What has been your mindset in releasing albums in the past, as far as, you know, how many tracks does it need to be? How do I decide if something makes an album? How do I decide when it's done? And what is it going forward? Are you going to do smaller, you know, they say EPs now, but whatever, shorter albums? Mm-hmm. You know, what is your mindset on that? And how is your structuring and putting things together? And how do you decide who you're recording with? Because obviously you have the ability to put everything together yourself. Are you always looking to collaborate? Do you reach out to certain people? Does it just sort of happen organically?
I'm trying to collaborate more this year. I want to do features with more people. Really, it's always in person, people that I'm tight with or have been making music for a while. Like we've got not our own thing that we don't want anyone else, but we're just comfortable. We know where each other's heads at and we can put stuff together, you know. But I would love to collaborate with more people, and I think that's something I need to do. A lot of my albums are just me. Like, that's kind of why Dope Forever ended up coming out. There's certain projects where it's like all the stuff people made together, because it's never one person's idea unless they come with the whole idea and are like, jump on this feature. As far as putting together albums, a lot of them kind of come together. I'll just keep making stuff and it'll be kind of all over the place, the type of music I'm making. Someday I'll make some like heavy shit and then make some like more just like light fun, like just having a good time. And it'll just kind of, or like just completely different sounds, you know. Over time it's like these can fit together, that's more my approach for the shorter EPs now. For a long time I would visualize, like for No Future, A New Era, and End of an Age, those were all visualized, kind of come up with a mental image in my head of the cover, or not exactly with the cover, but a lot of times the colors, the vibe of it. So early on, those ones, like I knew I was gonna do A New Era and End of an Age and a couple other names, and so I knew that I was gonna do those. then Big Sherm rap. So I was like, I know I'm gonna do that, and I was just doing a mixtape, and I finally had all my own gear again, where it was like, all right, I can just record stuff. Or it was like the first time I really had an easy setup on the computer where I was like, oh, I can just click record and just do this in my apartment. Wow, like that's crazy. I had put them into bigger groups, so like that's the No Future trilogy is those. The Ego Death trilogy, which was Big Sherm is Dead, was the first one. That was a time where I was like, I'm gonna stop rapping, and after a few months I was like, let me just get out of myself. Maybe like I was gonna just drop it under a different name just so I could just express myself and not be like, oh, someone gonna hear this be like, this is not you, or like this is too different from who you are, the way I delivered it, or so much confidence being at that age and doing whatever at the time. So that one came out, but then eventually I figured out with Big Sherm is Dead, I was like, oh shit, I like music, all right, fine. And then I was like, I'll just do what I'll just do my thing. And then that came with After Death was another one where I tried to step that up. And Sacrifice, which was like 21 songs or some crazy amount of songs, all beats stolen off of YouTube. I didn't have money to buy beats, and I made some of my own beats and did stuff. But like, that was like, I had just kept recording, and I was like, I have all these songs. I really haven't released any of them. Like, people would come over to my house or record, would hear them, And so then boom, those came together. And then I knew the hero's journey. I had made Apotheosis. Well, I became aware of the hero's journey. I don't know, it's like not a format, but like, his idea, Joseph Campbell, shout out to him. But so those ones I knew that name was going to be something. I was struggling with music for a while, and I ended up having all these songs, and I was like, I went to Florida for a week and listened to a couple of my songs. I was like, okay, I'm good at this stuff, and came back and ended up doing Rap Star Part 1, Prima Materia, and then the last MC was, I had recorded like 3 songs like every time I recorded over the course of like 2 weeks or 3 weeks. I was just like writing and recording. By the end of all of it, I was like, holy shit, I have like another 20 songs and they were all beats that I made. So that one came together. And then Return of the King was very, very intentional. I knew that was going to be the name of one of those albums in this. It was supposed to be the Hero's Journey trilogy. It's 4 though, and if you count the EPs, I kind of count the next 2 EPs. So there's really more. That one was very intentional. I spent, a month just on the track order. Like after that one exhausted me. All those beats were people that I know and people that I fuck with. There was a couple people that like, there were relationships that I then formed, but like, the exception, like maybe 2 of them, they were like my people's beats. That was the first time I set a release date. I was like, all right, I'm setting this so many months in advance. I set it on like a super blood moon or something like that. It was just some like weird shit.
Yeah.
That one was very intentional. I spent a long time trying to put that together.
Yeah. But you had a rough idea on
content.
The content, and No Future was 3 albums in that group and 3 in Ego Death. Basically 3 in the Hero's Journey group that were related, because the Rap Star technically
like
a part 1 and part 2.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you have a large backlog of music?
I have about 20 backlog, not including some features and some somewhat long lost stuff, that still exists. But I have about 20 that I'm dropping these this year, basically as just singles. Although now an album has been coming to mind. Now that I was like, how do I put all these together? Now it's like, oh, these ones actually sonically fit together, now. So it might be one of those cases where I wrap them all up and make it an album. I actually was looking through old beats. I mean, I've got like hundreds of unreleased beats, maybe. Like I have at least 20 to 30 that are like, I forgot about them, that are like super dope. All my beats are on SoundCloud, and some are on YouTube. I haven't uploaded them to streaming services because I don't want to put it under my name to confuse people even more, where it's like, new stuff, but it's like, oh, this is a beat. Like I want it. So I was going to make either another name or make a Big Sherm Beats or something like that. I haven't figured out how to approach that, but I have 12 Secret Travels instrumental tapes, around 10-ish songs. But these raps is my big focus right now. I'm trying to drop them frequently and just get them out there. I always feel better once stuff is dropped. Like I get a sense of relief once a project's out or music, like just almost immediately. Like I'll click like the done button or like whatever, and I'll be like, whew, like thank God, you know.
You can't go back and tinker with it anymore. It's out of your
It's
hands
not,
now.
yeah. Maybe that's what it is. I didn't even think about it. Like that's probably exactly what it is. Like, yep, this is that.
How do you decide when you're going to release just the instrumental or the beat and not hold on to it for vocals later for a full song?
I try to separate. I haven't dropped the Secret Travels in a while, but I've dropped, you know, like every beat that was on Rapstar Part 2. It's available on my SoundCloud. Like it's a beat that you can get, you know. A long time ago it's like, yeah, you just drop beats for people to rap on them, but the more, you know, you think about it, it's like you have no idea how many people are rapping on this. But I think it gives like kind of an energy to it. Like if there's people spitting on my beat somewhere, like you know, that energy's out there and it's good. You know, I want to drop some beat projects. I want to drop a vinyl of something, whether it's rap, electronic, or beats. But I think beats would be a good way to go for vinyl. But a lot of it's just filling it out. You know, I always know when the time's right. I'll fuck with shit for a long time, and then eventually I'm like, yeah, now's the time. And,
That feels right.
You know, I have the song I was just mastering yesterday. You know, I wrote it and recorded it maybe like 6 months ago, and all week I couldn't get myself to do it. I just could not get myself to adjust. I had to fix a couple lines, and it was just when the time was right, the time's right. And that's how a lot of my stuff comes out. You know, I gotta feel it, or it's just gotta make sense. It's hard for me it's hard to guess a vibe 6 months from now or something like that. You know what I mean? It's just like sometimes it's like you wake up and go, I know exactly how to order this, or oh, here's what it's called, you know, or you know, oh, I'm gonna drop this on whatever day.
Need some beats, please don't forget the money, man. The world is mine and everything in it, everything in it, everything in it. I'm on the grind and I stay with it, and I stay with it, and I stay with it. See, life's abundant nature when the water flows. Understanding is not always everywhere you go, but in the deserts across the world you see a flower grow, bringing nourishment to those who seek it, need it most. But it's often those in control can slow the flow. So I'm giving something from me that can shake the soul. The only way I have to tell you, you have got to know. They always say, so just stand, man, you got this, bro. If you're blessed enough to hear this, then that's something right. We get distracted with our lives amongst all this play. Family poverty, but over here it's movie night. This is me appreciating everything in life. I was gonna write about the shit I live at home, but you can only rap about that money for so long. So to the homie, man, it's so long. You can be something different because you are. The world is mine and everything in it, everything in it, everything in it. I'm on the grind and I stay with it, and I stay with it, and I stay with it. The world is mine and all the things in it, all the things in it, all the things in it. I got a family to support, so I can't give it, so I can't give it, so I can't give it. The world is mine, complete with everything.
Let's talk about your two newest then. Your two newest singles, World Is Mine and All My Blessings. World Is Mine.
Everything in
Very different vocal mix.
that one's a dope song. So I had recorded that last year. There was like a couple months where I was working at the bar and working at the club, and I would get home late and I would just write some super ill shit, or I would spend like a long time writing. And The World Is Mine, I had started working with a new producer, Amnesia Beach, shout out to him, very talented dude. I wrote that song. I spent a long time trying to write stuff. I ended up scratching the things I wrote, and I, you know, talked about in the song I was going to write about the things I live and own, but you can only rap about that money for so long, because my head was I'm trying to be super tough on the mic, and I ended up rapping about completely different stuff. So that was all dry. Like I just recorded it, dry vocals, no effects. You know, it sounds very different,
Yes.
you know, than that. And there was something about the way I delivered the hook was bothering me, and how I was saying it. And then I was doing kind of like a somewhat of like a melodic delivery of the vocals. I was like, I like the things I talked about, but it ended up kind of being like I don't know what to do with this one. I had other songs that I thought were better, and it was kind of like, it didn't mean as much to me. And I was going to release it early on in this run of singles. And then I was fucking with it again because I was going to master it down to, drop it how it was. And I was like, maybe I'm just judging myself too harshly. Sometimes I have to just drop stuff because I'm like, I don't know. And this is what I got, But I've used a vocoder. I had my buddy do some vocoding on Return of the King, but I put a vocoder on the vocals to the beat. I shouldn't give away my secrets. But no, but I vocoded it, and it just sounded completely different. It didn't sound like me, and I like fell in love with it. I was like, this is the hardest shit ever. I was like, it felt good. It felt different. It felt kind of like relevant. So there was a long time where I was like, I didn't know what to do with this one. This wasn't one of the best ones. And then as soon as I put the vocoder on it, it all made sense. And, it was out within a couple of weeks probably after that. I mean, I filmed a music video for it before it came out, which still is in the editing down process. And so I ended up being like, wow, this song's super hard. And I loved it. And like all the content was always there, but it was my delivery. And now the way that the vocoder went on it just sounded so different. It didn't sound like me. It sounded impressive, especially if you like know me, like, and then heard that, you'd be like, what the fuck,
Yes.
And just, as it is. Yeah, I ended up fucking around with that. I want to do more and get more into that sound. I don't want to be there's a lot of auto-tune, and I'm not like calling out, but there's a lot of, artists that synthesizer plugin does a lot of the work,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
it sounds good. That's the sound now or whatever. I think I'm going to do some more songs like that. I put it on another song and it was good, but I really needed to link up with Dr. Tentacles. Actually, I need to link up with him and have him play stuff in vocoder and like really play with that style more. But yeah, I don't know. Thank you. Yeah, it's very different, and I like it a lot. And watch out for the video coming sometime in the spring.
Okay. Playing with the vocals is something you don't do quite as much because you bring in a number of different instruments. I was listening to a whole spattering of different stuff from your projects over the years, and in prep for this, and I've got keys in one song, and I've got bells in another song, and I've got just a number of different things. And that's what's great, is you're always adding different elements. How do you decide what instrument you're bringing in? Because I can go listen to whatever mainstream or underground artist A or B, whatever you want to say, but they may not bring in any number of instruments that you are in any given album, let alone a full discography. You got stuff coming in all over the place. How are you like, yeah, a jingle bell sound is what we need here?
I try not to hold back experimenting with sounds and music, because none of my shit fits in a even box. There's a lot of different boxes, a lot of things fit in, but I don't try to limit myself, because I'm human. I feel all sorts of different things, and some days I'm certain moods, and so it all comes down to feeling it. As far as putting what instrument, I'm listening to it in my head. I like space and minimalism and stuff. Sometimes I like when there's something that you're like, oh, something should go there, but it's not there. And I like that sometimes, because you're putting the music in your head too.
Right.
The listener is. So everyone could be hearing maybe something or not hearing something at all and being like, I need this, whatever. But I don't know, just letting it call, trying different sounds. I want it to resonate with me at the time. I'll lay something on in my head. So I'll be like, oh yeah, I hear a pad here, or I hear some horns here. So I mean, that definitely happens. We were talking about the Wu-Tang. There's a scene where he shows in his head, like dropping in different instrumentalists from the band, being like, oh, remove the bassist, and it's like the guy physically like walks away. And so you'll get there in the series, but
Okay.
but it actually kind of represents a lot where, yeah, it's like, oh, okay, I hear this bass line here, or like I have a vague idea of what kind of sound, or like where in the mix, because I've done sound engineering and live sound for 15 years, and so I think about it in like terms of frequency a little bit too, where it's like, all right, I've got some low end, like I need something at a higher register, and whether it's like you hum it or you just pick through instruments and then figure out what fits there, or what actually sounds right.
It's funny that you say your mind going and hearing certain pieces that may or may not be there, because that's very much attributed to that chopped and screw style where they sometimes run it back or skip certain beats and certain pieces. And for a while, when I first started listening to it, that's what made it so difficult for me, is your mind goes certain pieces, and then if it's chopped up, that may not be there, or you may be rewinding it back. So it's very funny that whether you're actually putting something in there or you allow the listener's mind to make assumptions about where the song's going, it's very funny because that's still in that vein and that influence. So that's funny.
Yeah, I didn't consider that. I like doing it lyrically too, leaving stuff open for interpretation, where it's like, what does this mean? Or like, it could mean different things, at different times, kind of let people interpret it how they're going to interpret it.
I like that. It can certainly evolve over time.
I had the song I wrote about, it's like a song about this girl or whatever, but at the time I wasn't really about anyone in particular, but like everything like lined up to the situation I went through, and I was like, oh, what? Like, and that happens all the time, and I love it, and that's part of the special thing of art. And yeah, different times it can mean different things. Like you said, you could say something, it could totally mean whatever. There's some bars that came together, like I literally did not plan that, and it would be like the craziest bar I've ever heard, and I'll be like, I literally did not do that on purpose. It just happened. I mean, subconsciously, internally I'm processing it. But some verse where the whole verse was like going through different like body parts, like I was like, I'll knock your head off, she giving me neck, like I got arms, like, or whatever, but it wasn't like maybe that specific,
right.
It was more vague than that. But like at the end I put in a couple bars that were like something knock out your lungs or whatever, I got a lot of heart. And then after I was done writing, I realized that I had done that the entire first half of the verse, but I didn't even do that on purpose. And so I ended up being like, oh, this whole verse cemented together suddenly. Yeah. Where I was like, oh shit, like I literally went head to toe, like, the middle part was just like upper body. I don't know, it was bizarre, but that shit happens all the time. There's another one where at the end was like, oh, I think it was Trust Yourself, MC's taking notes, close your folders. I ended up adjusting the lines, but at the beginning I talk about like life's got problems, I'm gonna solve them, and one of those lines already was there, and I was like, oh, it started like as a test and ended with like close your notebooks. I ended up like adjusting the line, and again it brought the whole thing together in a way that probably isn't easily recognizable, but for me it's like, oh, here's the string, the slender thread.
Going back to All My Blessings, so the credit that got and the Southern influence, how did that track come together?
That one was recorded around the same time as World Is Mine. That was actually the same producer too. I had a couple really fire beats. That was a time where hip hop last year was just getting like super lyrical again. The underground was really like bubbling up, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I was just trying to write some hard ass shit. Like I picked the right beats. I found the right guy that had the beats that I needed, no samples and stuff, because I want to work with rights to be able to use this stuff. That one was one that took me longer. Sometimes I just like write and it comes out, but that one I got out of work, the club again, and just started writing. I had the beat and I was just in that mode. I had probably had a couple drinks, and I was just chilling till I could go to bed or whatever, and I started writing that over a couple of days, weeks. It wasn't a couple weeks, but probably within a couple of days I had fleshed it out. That one was one where I rewrote the lyrics a little bit. Then eventually, that put that on the burner because I knew that was going to be a dope song. And then, as I was like towards the end of last year, I was like, okay, I've got a bunch of songs now. I'm decided I'm going to release them as singles because I was trying to figure out how to do albums, but I was still making stuff. I just knew that was going to be one of the hard singles, and I should drop it pretty up front because it's a different sound than other sounds that I've done too, but it's also not too different than
right.
the essence of it. It's not like a completely different person or anything. But yeah, I mean, I was making money, and it was all my blessings like that, but just that was my mind state. And it was probably right after World Is Mine because the stuff I was writing about was deeper, because there was certain songs where it was like I was writing about trapping or writing about money or whatever, but once I had done World Is Mine and realized like life's abundant nature, I see life's abundant nature when the water flows, understand it's not all, I was more in a head where I was like able to express myself, but then kind of do it in like a hard in your face way. But anyway, All My Blessings was that, where I was trying to talk about some deep shit and kind of let my own stuff flow, but try to do something surprising, aggressive, in your face. There was DJs and stuff every night at work, and strippers shaking ass and all that stuff, and burgers and wings and stuff, and but there was DJs playing stuff, and a lot of it was like picking up influencer, like going, then coming home and being like, all right, what could I write that would surprise the shit, just surprise people or be really in your face, or kind of how that came together. And eventually I got it mastered down. I figured out how the hook was gonna work. I already had part of it in there. Yeah, I was able to wrap it up, and I knew it was special. I gave it to my buddy Steve to do some finishing touches on it, and he brought up the levels and got it knocking a little bit more. I made the cover art off of this picture, and just filtered it and filtered it and filtered it and filtered it, and eventually came up. It was originally a blue or green, but came up on this really tough gray is what I named the file. And that was random too, because it's like, oh, I could put Ganesha, remover of obstacles. I was like, this entirely matches the song, and it brought it to another level, just having that pairing there. I didn't go into it thinking about that, but that's what the song was about, was a lot of what was represented there. That was an interesting one for sure. I'm very proud of that song. I think I could show that to anyone. I sent it to Rakim on Instagram.
Awesome.
He's probably gonna look at it and be like, man, another motherfucker sending me a track. But once I had already like set it out for release, and I was kind of in a Rakim mood and thinking about like The Mystery is one of the songs, and he would understand where I'm coming from on this song, I think. And so but that one's out there. I got it on a couple playlists and stuff, which is like, it doesn't happen too often. So I'm happy about that.
It's great. I enjoy it tremendously. Has the pandemic really changed some of your writing, some of your content?
It definitely had an effect on the music, because at first when the pandemic hit, I had just gotten all this live streaming set up for DJing, because we were doing events. We were doing funk night. I was DJing every Wednesday at a funk night, playing funk, reggae, hip hop, whatever. So I just got all the live streaming set up, and then the pandemic happened, and then I had everything ready. I was ready for that, but I was just DJing live streaming, because I wasn't going anywhere. At the beginning, me and Jovi Kenobi made a Quarantine Boo. That was very much pandemic influenced. Great song under Dope Forever. I had a couple songs. I said Keep It Me was a song. I had bars about kind of masks and just more simple stuff. Yeah, I mean it does affect the lyrics, because it affects what we're thinking about, what a lot of us learned or remembered what's important. And the pandemic, I was rapping about things that I had sung by any means that I made with Izzy. He was making the beat. I went over there. That was during the early first summer of it, I guess. That was a lot of it was about police brutality and stuff. And then I had For the People is an EP that I dropped that was all stolen classic beats. I wish I could do some and like remix it or something. But that was a lot of that was about what we were going through. By any means of police brutality. George Floyd, like, he was on screw tapes. Once I realized that, I looked through my phone and was like, oh yeah, I know this song. That was Big Floyd. Like, I didn't know it by name. He wasn't on a lot of stuff. It wasn't like, oh, that's Lil Kiki. He was on all that. But like that hit even harder. It's not like, I knew him, and obviously this, very powerful times for everyone. And, that focus was in on police brutality and stuff. But for also to see that, like, that was someone who was, doing stuff. He went to Screw's house, and, there was another artist that I follow on Twitter, Chris Ward. I don't know him or anything, but, classic, artist or whatever. He said something about once he found out too that it was him, that like he was trying to get everyone to get in the studio. Like, that's what Big Floyd was. So, there's definitely, especially during that first year, a lot of, you couldn't feel right not talking about it. I made some stuff that had no relevance, but especially the first year or so, it's like you almost couldn't avoid some of these major topics, right. There's almost nothing you could do, but now, now a lot of it's remembering that obviously things are happening all the time still. I'm not on Facebook anymore. I'm not watching the news anymore, for better or worse, but you know, things are still happening, but, you know, still approaching things like we still need to speak things in a way that matters and that means something.
Right.
You know, you can make songs based on how you feel. They can just be like lighter topics and stuff, but we have this next generation to worry about, and we have the internet and, you know, TikTok and social media, and people's minds are being influenced from, you know, social media campaigns, like nationwide, you know, worldwide campaigns of you know, getting people to be divisive. And, you know, it goes super deep. And especially as artists, you know, you got to represent something real, you know, at the end of the day. Like, you could have songs about, you know, your thing, but, you know, I was thinking about this other day, looking at a sticker that says Big Sherm, like, on my TV. I just kind of like looked at it. I was like, what do I represent? What does this represent? And it wasn't, you know, the things that didn't come to mind were like money, bitches, hoes, weed, you know, like, you know, it was like, you know, truth, love, like honesty, like respect for people, you know, kindness. I think was one of the first things that came, you know. And I wrote a big list of all these things. I'm like, what does that image, you know, because I am Big Sherm, but also it's kind of like the outside thing a little bit too, right, in a way, or at least, you know, sometimes, you know, just like authenticity and you know, motivation and faith and hope and all that stuff. You know, at the end of the day, those are the things that I want to represent, you know, regardless if my song's about like getting head or something like that. Like, wait to the next song. Like, my whole thing is like, if you judge me off of one song, you're gonna miss it, which makes it hard for people sometimes, you know, to get into it. But like, all right, I'll have a song about whatever, you know, having fun and shit, but, you know, there's gonna be another song like All My Blessings, or, you know, I've got this like crazy, one of the best songs I ever did, this like love song that may or may not come out for Valentine's Day, but I have to do a cover. It's got to be right. I think I'm gonna wait on it. You know what I'm saying? But,
Okay.
Yeah, got it. At the end of the day, it's gotta represent something important.
I'll be there, I'll be around, yeah, I'm sorry. I tried to give you all these years of tears and heartbreak, and I wasn't there for me. How could I be there for you? But you can still keep the key. I love you, why won't you take it? I've been holding it out for so long, I almost dropped it, please don't break it. Look at it, it's amazing, why do you hate it? You said it's perfect, am I not worth it? What you saying? I can't have it, I can't manage, please will you take it? I don't want it anymore, I'll stop it and I'll break it. Then no one has it, no one can see it, it's getting wasted. Why is this so complicated? I fucking hate this. I can't breathe in, I can't see out. I need somebody to hold my pain, this hurt, and to feel my suffering. You know it's cutting deep, I didn't mean to make a mess, but maybe someday I'll be free and we can make amends. But till then I'm dead, I don't care, I have nothing left. I gave you everything I have and you walked down those steps. I'm running out of breath, chasing something that can't happen. If you don't want it, why would anybody want to have it? I spent my whole life trying to give my heart away. I spent some long nights trying to kill that part of me. But I'll be alright, I figured out the hard way. It could be the middle of the night and you could call me.
Do you think that's been a big shift from maybe some of your earlier days as you're both maturing, and it may cause a permanent shift in what your music will be going forward?
Yeah, I definitely think so. I mean, I've changed a lot, and as you make more stuff, you're trying to top your other stuff, but also, you know, not say the same things. You know, there's a lot of times where I want to make more, let's say, consumable, edible music where, like,
Sure,
you know, because some of the stuff, you know, I listen to is play a shit and, you know, Rolexes and stuff. You know, I mean, I listen to that stuff. It's kind of like that's part of, like, some of the vibe.
yeah.
You know, every time I make something that's, I don't want to say I dumb it down because that's never what I'm gonna do, but, like, you know, just talk about certain lighter things or more common things. You know, shortly after I write something deeper than I've ever wrote, you know, or whatever. You know, I couldn't do just, you know, that for long. And certainly as I get older, I mean, I've always had some level of like I don't say living their lives by things I say, but growing up listening to artists, there'll be like certain lines, be like, yeah, that's how I'm gonna act in this situation or whatever. I there are younger generation that listen to it, and a lot of my earlier fans were younger, especially when I was younger too. And it's something you got, it's for the babies. You got to think about the kids, and you can't like, I don't regret any songs or anything, but like I want to make sure I'm clear. Like this is, you don't have to chase all this other stuff, and you can be happy and just do your thing. And I think especially getting older, like I'm gonna be more and more aware of that. Like I don't have kids or anything, but like eventually I'm gonna have kids, and there's gonna be a time where I'm like, yeah, I said bitches a lot in my lyrics or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Like,
what are we looking at long term and short term for Big Sherm and what he's trying to do both as an individual artist, collaborative, releasing his own music, DJ side, all over the board?
I definitely plan to stay independent. I would like to work with a label though and do like a project. I mean, back in the day, I wanted to be assigned to like Rhyme Sayers, and at this point, like I've got all the equipment and a team that we can really be our own label. But there's downsides to that. It's really expensive. It takes a lot of work. It's hard to get things going all the time and stay on track. So but I would love to work with a label for like an album or a song or something like that. But definitely staying independent. I want to grow. Though Forever Giving Back Entertainment is kind of the record label. I'd love to build a team, to have a location where we can do everything in house. I'd like to spend a lot more time being able to do this, but in like an office setting, or where you can really crack down, or in a studio and get to work. But sometimes I hit the wall too, where I'm like, I don't want to write anything. Like I'm good, I don't want to do this, but I want to work with more of our artists and drop more of their music and help other people drop music and put things out, collectively. Eventually I'd like a space to do this. That's the goal at this point, is to push get some money coming in from merchandise, and eventually own a building and be able to do this full time, whether it could be a lot of different things, whether it's doing events, DJing, but that's where I want to go. I want to be able to build something, and I want to be able to hire family and friends and be able to, have a self-sustaining label organization. It can be broad, it can be just, it can be zoned in, whatever. As far as short-term upcoming, I've got all these singles that I'm going to drop. I have a 6-month plan, and I'm going to drop a bunch of singles. I don't want to say I'm going to drop them every week, because it adds pressure, like, oh, I'm going to drop them every week, but so far that's the idea. Today I need to release the one. Like I'm behind on this one, but I still need to get cover art for it. And right now I'm doing all that stuff. I can kind of pay people to do some of it, but it costs a lot of money to do that. And I've always came up doing everything for free. I had broken ass computers, hand me down this microphone I'm using, stole it. This is the classic. I performed many shows with this one. Well, someone left it, let's just say.
We'll say borrowed.
Yeah. I've had this for a grip now. But a lot of the stuff I came up on, it was all for free. So I've been trying to find that line of how much money do I want to spend on this. I'm trying to make sure my definition of success is correct. Like, yes, I want to make all the money, and there's a future for all of this stuff, but you got to remember that at the end it's for the craft. I'm doing this because I like to do it, and continue to build and level up. I would love this to be like many millions of dollars, but in the interim, let's do something that affects people. I think the other day I decided I think I'm gonna drop these beats and make like a beat tape. One thing I want to do this year is drop a vinyl. I might be a 45. I haven't decided, electronic or whatever, but that's something I'm gonna do this year. At some point, it'll just be basic. I've never had anything on vinyl, so I'm gonna be ecstatic about it.
Yeah,
no matter what.
That'll be awesome.
I like being able to do all the different parts, not just me, but like be able to get all the things done, because if when things take off and as things accelerate, we'll have a hand in all the different aspects of it. Like I do know how to do the recording and producing and stuff, so it makes things easier in the long run to be able to do all that. So the singles might become an album. I'm going to work on some beats. I've got 56 hours of DJ mixes that I've got put together. So I'm going to drop a USB at some point. or also a digital download on bigsherm.net/shop. That it'll be electronic mixes, juice mixes, which is like my tributes to Screw. It's only Screw if Screw did it. That's the thing. So I do the juice. I run it through the juicer, I'll DJ it, and then house music, some drum and bass. Got those. Those are going to come out in due time. Brand new shirts are in.
Yeah.
So I got those. I actually got to get you on there in my car. So doing merchandise runs is something I'm going to be focusing on a lot. Just anything in the art realm. Leaning into the art more is one of my resolutions. Is just kind of really lean into the colorfulness and doing things out of love, not chasing a buck for everything, and
just expanding and however you can create. Explain the USB concept real quick, because that was new to me, but it sounds ingenious.
Yeah. I have so many projects where I want to sell CDs, but for every person who's like, I've listened to this CD or I've got your CD or whatever, there's like 3 people. They're like, why are you still making CDs? Nobody's got a CD player. It's like, all right, chill. I got a CD player, But so I love making CDs and physical products, but I've always wanted to put together a USB of my discography. And I did this before in short run. I think I gave away, I did like 5 of them. I think I ended up giving away because it was during the Cool Keith show. I was trying to sell them, but I gave a couple of them. But I wanted to do a USB of my entire discography, because it's the only way you can really perceive how much it is if you're like, all right, here's the raps folder, here's the beats folder, here's the DJ mixes folder. I might do it in like an electronic mix USB,
okay,
a rap USB instrumental. Because then also, if you just hate my stuff, well, it'll be like $10 or something it might be more. I don't know. Because it's really worth, like, it should be like $50, or whatever.
Right.
If they don't like it, you can delete the shit and you get a USB drive, like, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, but yeah, that's something I want to do. But the biggest thing was organizing it all.
So just the full discography or whatever you choose to put on a full USB. You just purchase a USB with everything loaded on it.
Yep.
I think that's great.
Yeah, I'm making a merch pack soon, and that is one of the things it's going to be in. It's going to be a backpack, a shirt, USBs, and some stickers.
Awesome.
Maybe a CD or 2. That'll be like $50, but
sounds good to me. I love CDs. Love the old mix CDs, putting them all together. That's still my jam.
Nice.
So where can we find Big Sherm? Socials, streaming,
underground in a bunker in the Amazon rainforest. No, pretty much everywhere. BigSherm.net. BigSherm.net is my website that I manage and maintain and make. That's really, I would love it if people just checked that, maybe made it their homepage. Maybe I should do some kind of a feed, because, not everything's being posted on there, but my latest singles have been posted on there. There's a lot of stuff, a lot of links out. My social media on pretty much everywhere except for Pornhub is at Big Sherm with 3 G's. It's BIGGGSHERM. That's the handle that was available at the time on every single platform. So, and that's also my email at Gmail. If you need to send me some beats, send me some money, whatever. That's how you find me. I'm not hard to find. Believe that.
All right. Anything else we need to touch on?
No, man. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you for doing this.
What, we doing birthday dinner now? Is that what we're doing?
Yeah, I don't know what I'm gonna do. I got some mac and cheese. I might eat some mac and cheese.
Okay.
Yeah, chilling out.
All my blessings,
All right, Ron Michael Welch.
all my
This is Big Sherm.
Get
all
it.
my blessings, all my blessings.
Everything given could get took in a minute, so I stay diligent and keep pushing the limits. If I could think it, I did it. Just know that I lived it. I'm with it, counting up the digits, and I'm not overspending. Bitch, the game is fucked up, but we're still gonna win it. If you stick with the plan and quit chasing the gimmicks, don't run to the isms. Truth cannot be mimicked. Make the choice now. Okay, you've made your decision. It's imminent. Fate can't be changed or distorted. What's important been waking up. All that's been dormant, loading up the warship, warring with all those who are boring. Weapons forming, but they'll never prosper when it's storming. Wine pouring, full cup, get up and grind every morning. They corny, travel state to state before I was torn. Hear the lion roaring, unleash the animal in me. No mercy or pity, I'm a king in my city.
All my blessings, 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 all